Hey, we are in First Chronicles chapter 11 and 12. We're getting into the death of Saul and the reign of David. Remember, Chronicles is only giving us the highlights, and it's only giving us the good side of David. It's going to be interesting. And notice the wording as we get into this. It's going to say that David becomes king and all of Israel follows him. Well, the reality is, David had been king of Judah for 7 years. The rest of Israel had sided with Saul's son Ishbosheth, but when he is murdered, then everybody rallies around David. So again, the author, all of Israel follows David. That's true only after Saul's son is murdered and David has been on the throne in Judah for 7 years. So let's go ahead and start reading from First Chronicles chapter 11. All Israel came together to David at Hebron and said, "We are your own flesh and blood. In the past, even while Saul was king, you were the one who led Israel on their military campaigns. And the Lord your God said to you, 'You will shepherd my people Israel, and you will become my ruler.' When all the elders of Israel had come to King David at Hebron, he made a covenant with them at Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel as the Lord had promised through Samuel. David and all the Israelites marched to Jerusalem, that is Jebus. The Jebusites who lived there said to David, 'You will not get in here.' Nevertheless, David captured the fortress of Zion, which is the city of David. David had said, 'Whoever leads the attack on the Jebusites will become commander-in-chief.' Joab, son of Zeruiah, went up first, and so he received the command. David then took up residence in the fortress, and so it was called the City of David. He built up the city around it and the terraces to the surrounding wall, while Joab restored the rest of the city. And David became more and more powerful because the Lord Almighty was with him. These were the chiefs of David's mighty warriors. They, together with all Israel, gave his kingship strong support to extend it over the whole land as the Lord had promised. This is the list of David's mighty warriors. Jashabim, a Hakmonite who was chief of the officers. He raised his spear against 300 men whom he killed in one encounter. Next to him was Eleazar, son of Dodai, the Ahohite, one of the three mighty warriors. He was with David at Pas Damim when the Philistines gathered there for battle. At a place where there was a field full of barley, the troops fled from the Philistines. But they took their stand in the middle of the field, and they defended it and struck the Philistines down, and the Lord brought about a great victory. 3 of the 30 chiefs came down to David to the rock at the cave of Adullam, while a band of Philistines was encamped in the valley of Rapham. At that time, David was in the stronghold, and the Philistine garrison was at Bethlehem. David longed for water and said, "Oh, that someone would get me a drink of water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem." So the 3 broke through the Philistine lines, drew water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem, and carried it back to David. But he refused to drink it. Instead, he poured it out to the Lord. "God forbid that I should do this," he said. "Should I drink the blood of these men who went at the risk of their lives? Because they risked their lives to bring it back?" David would not drink it. Such were the exploits of the 3 mighty warriors. Abishai, the brother of Joab, was chief of the 3. He raised his spear against 300 men whom he killed, and so he became as famous as the 3. He was doubly honored above the 3 and became their commander, even though he was not included among them. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, a valiant fighter from Kabzeel, performed great exploits. He struck down Moab's 2 mightiest warriors. He also went down into a pit on a snowy day and killed a lion. And he struck down an Egyptian who was 5 cubits tall. Although the Egyptian had a spear like a weaver's rod in his hand, Benaiah went against him with a club. He snatched the spear from the Egyptian's hand and killed him with his own spear. Such were the exploits of Benaiah, son of Jehoiada. He too was as famous as the 3 mighty warriors. He was held in greater honor than any of the 30, but he was not included among the three, and David put him in charge of his bodyguard. The mighty warriors were Asahel, the brother of Joab, Elhanan, son of Dodo from Bethlehem, Shemoth, the Harorite, Helez, the Pelonite, Ira, son of Ikish from Tekoa, Abiezer, and from Anathoth, Sibbecai, the Hushathite, Lai, the Ahohite, Merari, the Netophathite, Heled, son of Benah, the Netophathite, Ithai, son of Rabai, from Gibeah in Benjamin, Benai, the Pirathonite, Hurai, from the ravines of Gash, Abiel, the Arbathite, Asmavetha, the Barumite, Eliabah, the Shalbanite, the sons of Hasham, the Gizonite, Jonathan, son of Shagi, the Hararite, Ahiam, son of Sakar, the Hararite, Eliphel, son of Hefer, the Mecherathite, Ahijah, the Pelonite, Hezro, the Carmelite, Narari, son of Ezbai, Joel, the brother of Nathan, Mibhar, son of Hagri, Zelek, the Ammonite, Naharai, the Barathite, the armor bearer of Joab, son of Zariah, Ira, the Ithrite, Gareb, the Ithrite, Uriah, the Hittite, Zabed, son of Athli, Adonai, son of Shiza, the Reubenite, who was chief of the Reubenites, and the 30 with him, Hanan, son of Micah, Josaphat, the Mithnite, Uzziah, the Ashtarothite, Shammah and Jeiel, the sons of Hotham, the Arorite, Jediel, son of Shimri, his brother Joah, the Tizite, Eliel, the Mahavite, Jerubai, and Joshaviah, the sons of Ilnem, Ithma, the Moabite, Eliel, Obed, and Jeziel, the Mezabite. These were the men who came to David at Ziklag, while he was banished from the presence of Saul, son of Kish. They were among the warriors who helped him in battle. And they were armed with bows and were able to shoot arrows or to sling stones, right-handed or left-handed. They were relatives of Saul from the tribe of Benjamin. Hazier, their chief, and Joash, the sons of Shimei, the Gibbethite, Jeziel, and Pelet, the sons of Asmaveth, Barakai, Jehu the Anathothite, and Ishmai the Gibeonite, a mighty warrior among the 30, who was the leader of the 30, Jeremiah, Jahaziel, Johanan, Jozabad, the Gederathite, Eluzai, Jeremoth, Beliah, Shamarai, and Shephatiah, the Haruphite, Elkanah, Ishiah, Azareel, Jozer, and Jashabim, the Korahites, and Joelah, and Zebediah, the sons of Jehoram from Gedor. Some Gadites defected to David at his stronghold in the wilderness. They were brave warriors, ready for battle and able to handle the shield and spear. Their faces were the faces of lions, and they were swift as gazelles in the mountains. Ezer was the chief, Obadiah the second in command, Eliab the third, Mishmana the fourth, Jeremiah the fifth, Attai the sixth, Eliel the seventh, Johanan the eighth, Elizabeth the ninth, Jeremiah the 10th, Macbenai the 11th. These Gadites were army commanders. The least was a match for 100 and the greatest for 1,000. It was they who crossed the Jordan in the first month when it was overflowing all its banks, and they put to flight everyone living in the valleys to the east and to the west. Other Benjamites and some men from Judah also came to David in his stronghold. David went out to meet them and said, "If you have come in peace to help me, I am ready for you to join me. But if you have come to betray me to my enemies, when my hands are free from violence, may the God of our ancestors see it and judge you." Then the Spirit came on Amasai, chief of the 30, and he said, "We are yours, David. We are with you, son of Jesse. Success, success to you, and success to those who help you, for your God will help you." So David received them and made them leaders with his raiding bands. Some of the tribe of Manasseh defected to David when he went with the Philistines to fight against Saul. He and his men did not help the Philistines because after consultation, their ruler sent him away. They said, "It will cost us our heads if he deserts to his master Saul." When David went to Ziklag, these were the men of Manasseh who defected to him: Adnah, Jozabad, Jediel, Michael, Jozabad, Elihu, and Zillethai, leaders of the units of 1,000 in Manasseh. They helped David against raiding bands, for all of them were brave warriors, and they were commanders in his army. Day after day, men came to help David until he had a great army, like the army of God. These are the numbers of the men armed for battle who came to David at Hebron to turn Saul's kingdom over to him, as the Lord had said. From Judah, carrying shield and spear, 6,800 armed for battle. From Simeon, warriors ready for battle, 7,100. From Levi, 4,600, including Jehoiada, leader of the family of Aaron, with 3,700 men. And Zadok, a brave young warrior with 22 officers from his family. From Benjamin, Saul's tribe, 3,000, most of whom had remained loyal to Saul's house until then. From Ephraim, brave warriors, famous in their own clans, 20,800. From the half-tribe of Manasseh, designated by name to come and make David king, 18,000. From Issachar, men who understood the times and knew what Israel should do, 200 chiefs with all their relatives under their command. From Zebulun, experienced soldiers prepared for battle with every type of weapon to help David with undivided loyalty, 50,000. From Naphtali, 1,000 officers, together with 37,000 men carrying shields and spears. From Dan, ready for battle, 28,600. From Asher, experienced soldiers for battle, 40,000. And from east of the Jordan, from Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, armed with every type of weapon, 120,000. All these were fighting men who volunteered to serve in the ranks. They came to Hebron fully determined to make David king over all Israel. All the rest of the Israelites were also of one mind to make David king. The men spent 3 days there with David, eating and drinking, for their families had supplied provisions for them. Also, their neighbors from as far away as Issachar, Zebulun, and Naphtali came bringing food on donkeys and camels and mules and oxen. There were plentiful supplies of flour, fig cakes, raisin cakes, wine, olive oil, cattle, and sheep, for there was joy in Israel. And so we get this big picture. I mean, it must have been a sight to see. Thousands and thousands and thousands of men coming, pledging their allegiance to David, to making him great. Now, Jerusalem is still under foreign control, and this is 400 years after crossing into the promised land. But Jerusalem is a crucial point right there in the heart of Judah that David is going to use. It's going to be called the city of David. It's going to be great things. And so just imagine all of these people coming to David, excited to be a part of his leadership. David is great. God uses him to do incredible things, but don't miss the point. David is great because he had great men with him. He had great warriors that were totally devoted to him. What made David great relied heavily on the men that surrounded him to lift him up. Again, it is the best interest for us to have wise people surrounding us all the time. Have a great day.